practice comes from really some of the biggest requests that we've had. So let me give you just a little bit of background. As some of you know, we had an awesome digital dental marketing conference a few months ago, well attended, with some fantastic information that was presented. And based on the success of the Dental Digital Marketing Conference, the second annual conference, co-sponsored by the Crown Council and My Social Practice, is coming up. And one of the things that, and you can find all of that there's actually a dedicated website. The seminar, the conference, will be April 29th and 30th in Dallas, Texas, 2016. So you can find all the information at dentalmarketingconference.com. One of the things that we learned during that conference is that there remains a lot of confusion about online reviews. 77% of the practices never or occasionally ask for reviews face-to-face based on our research, and 2/3 of practices either don't know how many or have less than 10 Google reviews. So we have asked Jack Hadley and Seth Daly, Dolly, I'm sorry about that, Jeff Dilley to speak today. Let me give you a little background on the two of them in case you don't know them. Jack Hadley, who should be familiar to most everyone listening, who Jack and My Social Practice have been huge contributors to the Smiles for Life campaign over the years with all of their social media tools and promotional tools. Jack is a principal at My Social Practice that specializes in social media marketing, specifically for dentistry. Jack also teaches digital marketing to MBA students at Brigham Young University's Marriott School of Management in Provo, Utah, and is a former ad agency creative director and copywriter. Seth, over the years, Seth has had a consultative marketing relationship with hundreds of dental practices. He's an accomplished presenter with practical insights into the day-to-day application of marketing strategy and inside practices. He's also a founding partner at My Social Practice. Consider these two gentlemen as two of the foremost experts in digital marketing, social media, and our topic today, reviews. So with that, Jack and Seth, welcome, and we're looking forward to your wisdom today as you share with us Google, Yelp, and Facebook reviews made easy.
Thank you, Steve. This is Jack Hadley, and I appreciate that kind introduction. We're excited to be here today. Both Seth and I are excited to be here. Thank you. We wanted to get started by knowing that whenever we get an opportunity to speak with a number of practices, that everybody kind of comes to the table from a different place. Many of you are probably getting lots of reviews already. Many of you are probably just getting started. Some of you are using social media proficiently and effectively and consistently, and others may just be getting started. So what we wanted to do was take just a minute, these first couple of minutes, and just give a little bit of a high-level overview about reviews and how we've kind of come to the spot where we've come. And we do that to try to get us all kind of on the same page in these first couple of minutes of our webinar today. So what I'd like to do is take you back in time a little bit. In fact, take you back about 50 years to a time that was actually called the golden age of advertising. Back in those days, it was really easy to get attention. In fact, as you know, advertising was trusted. That word of mouth was done face to face, and after all, if your dentist told you that Viceroys were the best cigarette, then obviously you believed that, and that was true, and those messages were absolutely trusted. Getting attention, again, was easy. In fact, statistics show that back in the 60s, a large brand could reach 80% of the U.S. population with 3 television commercials. That's how focused information was and how people got their information. Of course, now it's very diversified and people get their information from all kinds of places. But this particular model worked for a long time. In fact, in dental marketing, for 50 years or so, your brand was primarily defined by you. Meaning, if you brought in an advertising agency, they took a beautiful photo of you and wrote some great copy and put it into a little trifold brochure. Basically, you defined your brand and nobody else did. And then you could take that same materials and create a billboard or direct mail campaign. And then someone came along probably a decade or so ago and said, you know, you really ought to be online. So basically, you took that same brand and that same message and created a website. And at that time, you were absolutely, completely in control of your brand and your message and your marketing. Well, times have changed, and something very, very significant changed in about 2007. And it was not the invention of the Internet, because as you recall, Al Gore invented the Internet back in about 1999. So it wasn't the Internet. It was something else that happened around 2007. And it was the introduction of the smartphone. Smartphones brought the web to the palms of our hands, and everyone became a publisher. And what that meant is that businesses were now forced to participate in two-way conversations, and sometimes three-way conversations, when it came to branding and marketing. And it's been very difficult for small businesses to grasp the concept that they are really no longer in control, complete control anyway, of their own brand. Much like this cafe owner who experienced some feedback on Yelp. Come and try the worst meatball sandwich that one guy on Yelp ever had in his life. This has been an interesting transition for small business owners to recognize that they are no longer completely in control of their brand. So today, websites and digital marketing is very different. Rather than you having a singular message, you have to interact and have two-way communication, and that takes place in many, many different ways, as you can see, in terms of sharing and reviewing and supporting and commenting and liking and following and responding. And that's particularly true when it comes to reviews and to review sites. So 1960 to about 2007, the brand was defined by you. Today, your brand is primarily defined by other people, and not just by what they see or think or feel, but what they tweet, what they post, the reviews they write. All of these things are part of the redefining of your practice brand. And that's why reviews have become such an important part of a comprehensive digital marketing solution. It's interesting, during the digital marketing conference that Steve mentioned a few minutes ago, we talked about this concept, about how who you are inside your practice over there on the left, what you say, and what others say, all kind of are part of this mix. The things going on inside your practice, the experience that people have when they visit your practice, combined with the messages that you put out, combined with those messages that other people put out, then all become part of your brand and part of your marketing and part of the important part of your marketing. So if you were to divide that up a little bit, and this is a diagram we used during the digital marketing conference in April. These in-practice things that go on inside your practice are super important. You have to have things buttoned down inside your practice, and the way in which you interact with your community is certainly important. And then over on what others say, social media is certainly a big part of that, as is other forms of content, including reviews and including the things that you have on your that are expressed and are talked about and marketed on your website. In addition, there's email, There are still non-digital marketing forms such as direct mail and radio spots and such. And then monitoring this all becomes part of this digital marketing puzzle that we talked about during the digital marketing conference. So as you can see, reviews are really a critical component of a larger digital marketing strategy. And that's what we want to talk about today. Now, I don't want to spend much time about showing surveys. I think that most of you probably already understand the value of reviews, but there are a couple of interesting things that I thought I would bring to our attention for just a minute. There's a very recent survey done by Deloitte that has an interesting statistic. If you look at the factors that contribute to buying decision making, the number one buying decision making influence is recommendations from a friend, family, or known acquaintance. The second one is a little surprising to me, actually, which is television ads, but the third one says online review or recommendation from someone within your social media circle. And then it's interesting to see the fourth highest one is online review by someone you do not know in real life. So reviews are important not only from people that you may know, such as your friends on Facebook, but also they're important to people that people don't know as well. And that's kind of an interesting way and an important thing to remember about reviews. Also, as you look down another 4 or 5 slots to what you say on your website, it reinforces that what you say on your website is no longer probably the number one thing that people believe. People are a little bit suspect, and so reviews are actually considered and trusted in a much higher way than even the things that you say on your website. A couple of other interesting statistics that I'll just run through real quick. These are questions that were asked to consumers about the decisions that they make. For which of these local businesses does reputation matter the most? And you can see that doctors and dentists and restaurants and hotels always rank very high when it comes to how important online reputation is. The second question, select these business types that you've searched on the web in the last year, and you can see that doctors and dentists come up very high in those categories that are searched online by people. Which of these businesses has online reviews? You can see again that doctors and dentists rate very, very high. And then this final slide is interesting to me. When you read a positive review, what is the next thing that you do? And you can see that over 70% of the respondents either visit the website, click through to the website, or pick up the phone and make a phone call. And so with that kind of high percentage of people that are taking action based on what they're reading online, it's as you can tell, and as you already know, very important that you understand how reviews work and that you're getting the right kinds of reviews. So what I'd like to do now is turn over a couple of minutes to my partner, Seth. He's going to explain a couple of concepts, the first of which is about search engine results pages. And there's a couple little things that I think everyone needs to understand before we move ahead. So I'm going to turn a few minutes over to Seth.
Let's see, Seth, we can't hear you.
Okay. Let me, can you hear me, Steve?
I can hear you. Great, Jack. Thank you.
Okay, maybe.
Jack, Seth is no longer connected to the audio on my control.
Okay. Let's do this. Seth will try to get called back in. Let me move ahead, and when he gets back in, we'll unmute him and let him talk about this. But let me just move ahead and talk about what are called SERPs. You've probably heard the term SERP. It stands for Search Engine Results Page. And
Jack, can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Hello. All right. Sorry, I got kicked out, and I'm back in, so I apologize. Let me jump in. That was a little technical difficulty.
Got it.
No problem.
So what I want to talk briefly about is just search engine results pages. So what that means is when you go to Google and you search for something, Google gives you a result, and there's 3 different kind of areas on the results page that are particular to different parts of your online presence. The part that's in the red or the kind of light, kind of, I guess, pink color is the pay-per-click section. So what that basically means is you can pay Google directly, and within 72 hours, if your ad is approved, you can be at the top or the side of a search result. So if you wanted to start bidding on words like dentist or cosmetic dentist or teeth whitening, within just a couple days, you could actually have an ad directed to your website in that section of the search results. Next, and it kind of depends on the search, Google kind of has 2 different types of displays that they show. One is where they put the organic listings, and organic listings are tied directly to your website and to search engine optimization. So sometimes the organic listings appear above the map section and below the section, and then other times they're just directly below the map section. And then the third part of the search is the yellow section, and that's tied directly to your Google Maps page. And over the years, this term is changed as far as what people actually call it. Early on, it was called like a local listing, and then it was known as like a Google Maps listing, and then Google Plus, which was the social media solution from Google that was attempting to kind of compete with Facebook. It wasn't having a lot of traction, so they ended up merging your local listing with your Google Plus page, and then now the new terminology is they've actually merged them together, and they call it's called Google My Business. And Google My Business includes being found in search, being found in maps, from the app on like the iPhone or the Android, and it's also the Google Plus and the social element. So the new terminology as of today is Google My Business. But basically, when you go to search for something, and this is a result under Albuquerque, New Mexico dentist, if you scroll over that local listing or that Google listing, it pops up and shows an ad, which is tied directly to your Google Plus page, but also references your website and your address and the phone number on that site. So one of the things that benefits or will help you be seen within like this listing or being found online, there's a huge algorithm. There's a lot of different factors that pull into how someone is found online, and one of the factors is reviews. Reviews are considered new content. New content is good. Google likes new content. So a business or a dental practice that has a consistent amount of new reviews that are being posted to that Google Plus or Google My Business page, then a lot of times that will influence or help with ranking. So one of the things that's kind of happened over time is like, how do I manage or how do I understand my Google Plus listing, or what is this all about? And what's happened is, and I'm sure that many of you have dealt with this, but it's duplicate listings. Duplicate listings are basically what happens is Google is scouring other directories online, and by scouring other directories online, what they're looking at is they're just trying to find, or they're trying to provide the searcher, the user, the best result possible. And so what they do is they go and they look at big data providers like InfoUSA or Localize, and they try to gather content. And in gathering content, sometimes the dental office has the name of the dentist as the name of the practice and a name of the practice, and so it creates a duplicate listing. And so part of being found, or part of this algorithm, is cleaning up this process of duplicate listings. And what you're really doing is just telling Google, this is the name of our practice. This is the best phone number, the only phone number that we have. This is our address where you can find us, and this is our website address. And by cleaning that up with Google, that will also benefit you and helping being found on Google. And so if you actually go to Google+, this is an example of a Google+ page. One of the parts of the Google+ page, via your desktop version is reviews, and you can kind of see here that these are the reviews that people have left for this practice that's tied to their Google+ page. The next topic I'd like to kind of briefly just talk about is what are some of the existing review solutions that are out there. And I would say probably the majority of everybody on this call at one time or currently uses a company like Lighthouse or like Solution Reach or DemandForce. And these are all excellent companies. They all have their different strengths and weaknesses, and you guys probably have your own opinions about who's the best. But ultimately, they're excellent at patient reminders, text messages, keeping the schedule full, making sure that you can get some feedback from your patients, through that email at the end of the day that goes out to the patients to collect reviews or feedback. One of the the problems is that most of those reviews are all going to a third-party site. They're going to Ratabiz if it's Lighthouse. They're going to either a Solutions Reach, my site that's yours, or DemandForce page. And a lot of times we run into people that have several hundred, if not thousands, of reviews that are on these different pages. But it's not where people are searching. People are not searching your DemandForce or Solution Reach page to find out reviews about you. Now, there might be a link from your website directly to this site for you to actually have your prospective patients read about you. But ultimately, the best place for reviews is online. If they're on Google, they're on Yelp, they're on Facebook, they're on Super Pages, Insider Pages, Yellow Pages, places where people are actually searching for, dentists and other types of services. And I'd like to turn this back over so Jack can kind of speak a little bit more about Yelp.
Great, thank you. I'm going to add one more little thing about existing review solutions, Seth. They do some things really, 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 really well. One of the things that doesn't work very well, and I know a lot of you have had this experience, is the conversion is kind of low because the reviews don't take place while you're in the practice. What happens is after people go home, they get an email message, and when they're busy and gone back to their regular life, and so even though they're prompted to take the review they've written and log into Google and post it there, it does not happen very often, as probably most of you know, and it's because people are busy and it's not a high priority for them. So that's a little bit of a weakness of existing review solutions. But the next thing, when we can come back, we can answer any questions you have about that at the end. But the next thing I wanted to talk about, and I only want to take a minute and talk about Yelp, but what about Yelp? Everybody has an opinion about Yelp, and one of the reasons they have the opinions that they have is because this example I'm showing here, if I searched for plastic surgeons in Salt Lake City, Utah, and I get this Yelp page that comes up, Yelp has what are called recommended reviews, which are at the top of the page, and then buried way, 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 way down at the bottom in tiny, tiny little type are the other reviews that they don't, quote, currently recommend. Now, Yelp has a great explanation for why they do that, and I don't want to go into debating during this webinar today the pros and cons of Yelp. The bottom line is that Yelp is an important player, and whether or not you've had a good or bad experience with Yelp in the past, I think it's really important that you recognize the importance of Yelp. I recently, just a couple of weeks ago, wrote a post on Patterson's blog called Off the Cusp. If you're interested in reading that post about Yelp, it goes into a lot more detail. You can go to offthecusp.com and read that post. But in that post, I talked about 3 reasons why it's really important to proactively manage your Yelp page. Number 1, Yelp has huge consumer trust. Number two, Apple actually syndicates Yelp reviews in their Maps application on iPhones. And number three, Yahoo Business Listings is also syndicating Yelp reviews. And I don't know if you've noticed lately when you're doing search on the web, but almost without exception, Yelp reviews come up on page one when you search just about any term. Yelp is a super strong player, and you can't ignore it no matter what you think about Yelp. It's important that you proactively manage Yelp. And the way that you do that, quite frankly, is really pretty simple. It's really not very complicated. The way that you manage it is by getting lots of reviews and getting lots of great reviews, because even if you got a bad review, or even if you believe that Yelp is hiding a lot of your great reviews, it's really kind of a numbers game. And so the more Yelp reviews that you can get that are positive, the more the chances are is that those will appear as the recommended reviews. So the two things I recommend that you do with Yelp is claim, monitor, and respond to your page. Don't ignore your page. And number two, always work towards what I call tipping the scale, which is overwhelming Yelp with good reviews. And the more good reviews you get, just the better friend Yelp is going to be. So if you want to read a little more detail about Yelp, it's at offthecusp.com. I'd like to turn the time back to Seth for a minute here and have him talk for a few minutes about the MSP Reviews solution to kind of show you some things that we've been working on.
All right. Thank you, Jack. And you can hear me, correct, this time?
Yes.
Perfect. So what we've done here at My Social Practice is attempted to create a solution that is a lot more effective and direct in increasing the amount of Yelp, Google, and Facebook reviews for the practice. And oftentimes, I mean, it really starts in the practice. And what we do is we've decided to initiate this process through allowing you guys to select who you want to leave a review. A lot of dental offices that I've spoken to in the past are worried about negative reviews, and this allows you guys to hand select patients that have been coming to your office for years or have referred friends and family members, and you can basically hand pick who you would like to write a review for you. And so what we actually do is we set up a web page that when the patient comes in to check in for their appointment, you would actually send the patient, or you would enter in the name of the patient and then their email address or their phone number, and send them a text message to their phone. We actually recommend, and it converts a lot higher and it's more effective, if you can do this while they check in, because while they're waiting that 2 to 3 minutes to go back for their hygiene appointment or their checkup, they have the ability to kind of complete the process. So they get a text message on their phone, and they actually go ahead and just click on the link right in the text message, and in clicking on the link in the text message, there is a pop-up that pops up, and the pop-up basically says, would you recommend us? And this ends up being the second gate, because if somebody clicks no, that maybe they're bugged about something you never knew about, or they're having a bad day, you still want to you don't want it to end there, or you don't want to send them to Google to leave the negative review. We allow them to leave a negative review on an offline site, so they can feel like their voice is being heard. And then what we end up doing is we just email the practice that review, so that the dental office can follow up with that patient offline and solve the problem and move forward without it actually going public. What ends up happening though is because you're hand selecting who you're asking for reviews, most of your patients are going to go ahead and click yes. I mean, they're going to click yes on that would you recommend us question. And a couple of different things happen depending on the type of phone that the patient has. Now, if they have an iPhone, then what we've done is within that link in the text message, we've installed a software that looks on the patient's phone and identifies what apps that they have downloaded and installed from the App Store. So if the patient has Yelp and it's downloaded on their phone, and they have an iPhone, it will actually immediately pull up your Yelp page right in the review section, so they can leave a review right from their phone onto your Yelp page. If the patient doesn't have Yelp it next checks for Google Maps. Now, to leave a review on Google through your phone, you leave it in the Google Maps app, not through the Google Plus app. So it checks Google Maps, and if they have Google Maps, it pulls up the maps. They click on the business, scroll up, and leave a review right onto your Google Plus page through the Google Maps apps. If they don't have Google, we have them next check for Facebook. And if Facebook is not on the phone, so if Yelp, Google Maps, and Facebook are not on the phone, we send them to that same review site, the review site where they left, the negative review. And if they leave a positive review, a 4 or 5 star review, we'll take that review and we'll syndicate it through a company called CityGrid. And CityGrid pushes reviews out to Merchant Circle, Super Pages, Insider Pages, Vitals, so just, and quite a few other sites. So we actually, instead of putting the review somewhere, where it essentially, doesn't matter, we try to get those reviews back out online to help your presence. Now, if the patient has an Android phone, all the Android phones come pre-installed with Google Maps. So 99.9% of the time, it'll open up right in Google Maps. The only reason why it wouldn't open up in Google Maps is if the patient has a jailbroken phone and they've uninstalled the app for whatever reason. So with the mix, with the reviews that we're able to create through the the Google reviews through the Android phone and through the mix on the iPhone, we're able to create a good mix of different reviews to those different sites. So they click on the link, it pulls up right in Google, they go ahead and click on 5 stars, and then once they click on 5 stars, they leave a review and they hit submit, and it's actually taking them and posting it directly to your Google Plus page. We have a current client who's a Crown Council member, Dr. Gustafson, and he may or may not be on this phone call right now, but he's actually been working with us now for 9 weeks. When he started working with us, he had 3 Google reviews. 2 of them were 3 years old and 1 was 1 year old. And in the first 30 days, he actually picked up 29 new Google reviews. Currently, as of this morning, he has 58. So through this process, he's picked up 55 Google reviews. I think he has about 9 or 10 Yelp reviews and about 15 to 18 Facebook reviews that he's picked up over the last 9 months. And one of the benefits for him is it helps his online presence. He is now, it's now easier to see him. He now has a presence that he didn't have, before.
Great. Thank you, Seth, for going through that. What I wanted to do when we were brainstorming this webinar today, we thought maybe we'd bring in a couple of practices and talk to them just a little bit about how they're doing and how they're getting reviews. Seth, let me have you go over the summary real quick before I invite these couple of people in.
A couple other things is what we do is at the end of each day, we like to send a daily summary report to the client. So within that daily summary report, we send an email, and the email basically kind of has a report of how many new reviews were received each day, and then there's links out to where those reviews were left. So in this example, there was 4 reviews. There was a couple of reviews that were left on Yelp. There was also a couple of reviews that were left on Google. And so you can actually read the review directly from this email, or you can actually click out and link to it. The other part of the kind of solution that we've created is we have a dashboard. And within this dashboard, there are kind of different sections. The first top section is we have the ability to port in all of your reviews around the web to one central location. And so the initial kind of top section of this review site is basically a reputation summary of all time. And so these are all the reviews that they've received around the web as an overall snapshot. The next section is a reputation summary over the last 30 days. And so we can actually look at, how many new reviews you've acquired over the last, 30 days, where they're coming from. And then directly below that, we have a conversion. And we just are basically helping you guys look at the conversion rate of sending an email to the client or the patient to generate a review versus, sending a text message. And then there's just a little graph that basically shows of those 45 new reviews, where are they coming from. Where, are they coming from Google? Are they coming from Yelp? Are they coming from Facebook? Or are we syndicating those reviews?
Great. Thank you, Seth. I'm sorry I interrupted you. I got a little turned around on my slides there. I didn't realize I had a couple more slides about the product. So thank you for finishing that up. I mentioned that we invited a couple of practices to chime in here, and I wanted to ask them a couple of questions about what their experience has been like in trying to ask for reviews and what they're doing to get those reviews. We've invited someone from the Reno dentist out in Reno, Nevada, at Dr. Sykes' office. We've invited Chelsea to join us, and I'm going to see if we could unmute Chelsea if she is on the line right now. Chelsea?
I'm here.
Great, thank you. We had a nice visit on the phone a couple of days ago, and I really appreciate you taking just a minute to come in and visit with the attendees in the webinar. I wanted to
my pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to just ask you one or two quick questions and get your response to how things are going in your practice and maybe what you're doing to approach patients and how patients are reacting and how you're going about getting reviews in your practice. Can you take a minute and tell us about that?
Definitely. So there's a couple different things that we'll do. First is we actually have a very unique gift that we'll give a patient if they're willing to even take the time out of their day to do it. Now, of course, don't recommend posting it on Yelp because Yelp will delete that review back from you, but we do offer a vinaigrette, which is handmade actually from Dr. Sykes' wife, and we'll give them a gift if they're willing to give us a review, whether it's good or positive. But we just ask them when they're sitting in the chair, we're waiting for the doctor, we just, hey, could you take a couple minutes out of your day to just give us some feedback? We'd love to hear from you guys. We'd love to hear how we can do better, what you like, and it's just about asking them when they're in the chair. It's the most important part. Is we're noticing that if we send it to them at the end of the appointment and the patient is sent home without doing the review, it's less likely that they will end up doing it. So we've found most success doing it in the chair and just asking them, hey, do you mind if we send you a quick text message to go fill out this review? And it's done instantly. It makes it very, very easy.
Great, thank you. And most of the time, then patients seem willing to do it if you just ask in a kind way. It sounds like.
That's exactly it. It's just our business is based off of their feedback, and without hearing what we could do better and asking them to tell us what we could do better, you can't succeed. So it's just that question of asking them what they feel needs to change or stay the same. And honestly, this review tool has given us so much opportunity. Our reviews on Yelp went up from 2 stars to 3.5 stars in 2 months. And Google Plus went from a 4-star to a 4.4 star in 2 months. So just that alone, we realized that the more we asked for care, the less likely that somebody was going to go and leave a bad review, because we kind of just left it up to the patient before. We would send the emails through Demand Force, and we would ask them through their email, please give us your feedback. But until we got them in the chair and we had them fill it out in front of us, the positive reviews weren't coming through because people forget about it. If you have one bad experience, you'll probably tell 60 people, whereas if you have a great experience, you might tell 1. So we just realized that the more we asked them nicely in office to just tell us how they felt about us, the more reviews came flowing in like crazy. It was amazing.
That's great. That's great. Thank you so much, Chelsea. And if you're willing to stay on the line for a minute, what we'll do is probably mute you again, but when we get to the questions at the end, if there's a question that you might be able to help us answer, we'll unmute you again. Would that be okay?
Oh, of course.
Great. Thank you, Chelsea. The second person we asked to come on is Logan Walls. She works with Dr. Titenser, who's also a council member. She called me yesterday and said that she had a problem come up and could not join us today. So I talked to her on the phone yesterday, and I asked her a few questions, and I'd like to just read her response, a couple of quotes from her real quickly here. Logan said, Google reviews are very, very important to us. They absolutely drive new patients to our practice. And MSP Reviews has also really helped us build our positive Yelp reviews, which has been great. Our patients already know Dr. Titensir and Dr. Brett are great. All we have to do is ask them if they would help us tell the world that he's great. During our morning huddle, we identify the patients we'd like to ask that day. We're really careful about not making patients feel badgered. We always start out by kindly asking if the patient would mind doing us a small, quote, favor. Most people say sure when you simply ask them nicely. It's a team effort. When you have the right tool, it's easy to be successful. So I'm sorry that we weren't able to have Logan join us, but those were her comments yesterday. Now, many of you who are on the webinar may have received this email from the Crown Council last week as part of this webinar and as part of the conclusion of Smiles for Life this year. We are doing a little donation to Smiles for Life for those practices when those practices that get signed up with the Crown Council sign up. I'd like to turn the time back to Seth for just a minute to go over the product pricing and a couple of things, and then we'll take some questions and try to answer your questions. Seth?
Yeah, thank you. So over the next, I guess, through the end of the month, to kind of correlate with what Steve mentioned earlier, and that's the gathering money for this year's Smiles for Life campaign. We're going to be donating the first month of your service. So the first $200 that you guys pay for the Google Plus or the Google Reviews service, we're going to donate to Smiles for Life. So anyone who decides to sign up between now and the end of the month, we'll be donating towards Smiles for Life, and we'll go to that ground total. We typically charge $299 a month for our MSP Reviews service to the general public. For the Crown Council, we're actually going to be offering it at $199 a month. We have no setup fees. We have no contracts. It is a month-to-month agreement. So at any time, if you feel like it's not fitting your practice or you have too many reviews, you can call up and cancel the service. Again, that first month we're going to actually donate $200 towards Smiles for Life to kind of help with the Smiles for Life campaign. A couple other things that are involved that we didn't talk about specifically is we also send you guys an in-office reviews campaign that you can use to talk or kind of mention with your patients. You saw a couple pictures earlier in the webinar, but we include some posters you guys can hang up, a goal chart for the staff. Staff involvement's huge. If you guys have or someone has 10 or 15 reviews and you set a goal of 50, creating some incentive for the staff to kind of make sure everybody's pushing in the same direction is a great way to accomplish a goal. We also have some table tents, some digital files you guys can use on your social media tools, and then some social signs, buttons, and some other things that allow you to help promote it in your office. There's a couple ways to get a hold of us, and you can reach us directly now or after this webinar. You can call our main number, which is 877-316-7516. You can also email us at info@mysocialpractice.com, or you can go online to our website and fill out a form, and you go to www.mysocialpractice.com/MSP Reviews, and just mention that you attended the webinar or that you're with the Crown Council, and we will have someone reach out to you shortly to discuss or answer any other questions offline that you may have about this service.
Great, thank you, Seth. With that, I'd like to leave this slide up in case you want to write down the number or the email, and we'll turn the time back over to you, Steve, and we'll take any questions. Hopefully, we can answer any questions people have.
Very good, Jack and Seth. Great presentation. There are a number of questions, so we'll go through those questions now. First question is, why Yelp above Google Maps for iPhone?
I'll answer that question. Our developers and our development team are doing research on acquiring reviews. Because of the Android phone direct everyone directly to Google, we're able to acquire plenty of Google reviews and new Google reviews for the practice. So if somebody does have the Yelp app on their iPhone, then we do want to, gather a Yelp review if possible. And the probability of somebody having Yelp and being a Yelper, which means that review won't be hidden as non-recommended, but will actually be shown up at the top of the Yelp page, is greater. That if we have that opportunity, we want to take advantage of it. And so in a mix of like 20 reviews that you would get coming into this service, you're going to see about 15 of them out of the 20 would be Google reviews, 1 to 3 would be Yelp, and 1 to 3 would be Facebook. So it ends up kind of satisfying, the mix of reviews that we're trying to, help acquire.
Very good. I think we've covered this, but let me just reiterate it. What's the name of the software used to send the text message for the reviews?
So it's actually not a software. It's just a web URL link. So the practice would be provided a URL link that they could bookmark on their desktop. There's no software that needs to be installed. The software actually is in the text message. You don't need to worry about anything on your end. So you would just enter in the name of the patient and the cell phone number from your desktop through a web URL.
Got it. Next question, is what you're talking about today the same as Bird Eye?
It is similar to. It's not the exact same, it's similar to.
Next, I was told that Google recognizes where reviews come from and negates those that come from the same IP address that's being reviewed. Is this true?
Absolutely true. But what we're able to do is, because the patient is leaving the review from their cell phone, it's a unique device, and their cell phone is tied to a unique carrier, whether it's Sprint, AT&T, or Verizon, so you don't run into the problem of the same IP address as you would if you put a computer in your office or a laptop and tried to gather reviews from one central location.
Got it.
So you do have to remember there that you can't have them on your Wi-Fi. You can't be offering free Wi-Fi in the practice. Would that be true?
Correct. And Google will look for like gaming. So, if it's like hundreds or multiple or a lot in a small point of time, but as Greg said, just have them use their cell phone and their cell phone data provider as a way to leave the review.
Got it. Next is a verbal skills question. What is the best way to verbalize to the patient that you would like feedback before the appointment even begins?
The way that I would answer that is I would just say, you've been coming to our office for 10 years and have referred, friends and family in the past, and we would love to get your feedback or get a review to help our online presence. Would you mind if I send you a text message? And, while you're waiting before your hygiene appointment, if you, help us out, we'd love that.
Yeah, and also keep in mind that this could be done from anywhere. So let's say that you were talking with a patient who's coming in next week. There's nothing that says you couldn't enter their name and cell phone number right then into the URL that you have up on your screen in your practice. And even if they're at home, they're going to get the text message on their phone. So if it's a long-standing patient that you've had for a long time and you want to reach out to them, even if they're not coming into the practice that day, it can certainly be done in the same way.
Next question. Why does the Android Google Maps show 4.2 stars in the tutorial instead of showing an example of 5 stars instead? Wouldn't it look better, give the patient a better feeling when posting if the example had 5 stars versus 4?
Are they talking about the example in the slide that we just showed, or the example like on their phone?
May have been. I'm not sure which one.
So in the slide, it's just, we're just showing an idea of what you're looking at. The patient, when they click on the link and it opens up in the Android app or opens up Google within the Android app, they're going to basically see the business listing. So whatever the current business listings overall review score is going to be shown to the patient. So it's really more a reflection of what's the current overall dental practices review score versus what we're showing on this slide presentation today.
Got it. Next question. If you are with Lighthouse, do you suggest stopping the review part of their service so your patients aren't getting review requests from both companies?
Yes, if you decide to implement this service, I would recommend turning off the email at the end of the day review request for either DemandForce, Lighthouse, or Solution Reach while you're, acquiring reviews, via this method.
Next, would we need to continue to use YP, i.e. Yellow Page advertising? We're trying to minimize duplications in marketing dollars.
Yellow Pages is a complete different form of marketing because I'd imagine you're paying Yellow Pages so that when someone's actually on Yellow Pages that your listing is being seen higher. So, the question would be, what you're doing on Yellow Pages isn't really affecting what's happening on Google or these other sites. So you would just have to measure out, are you getting a return for the money spent with Yellow Pages, and is it worth it to keep paying them to advertise if someone for somebody who goes to that site?
Got it.
Hey, Steve.
Yep.
And Greg, could we unmute Chelsea for just a minute? I got a text from her. She said that she has something that could help with that answer.
Got it. Greg can help us with that.
Are you there,
So
Chelsea?
I would recommend keeping the YP marketing just because they're two completely different demographics. If you pay attention to who you're getting your phone calls in from on your YP, it's normally like the older age group who are actually still looking through the phone book or taking that influence from YP online. Their kind of demographic is like maybe 55 plus, whereas Facebook and Yelp and stuff, is more like the 20 to 35 kind of age group. So I would keep the YP because they're two completely different aspects of marketing. Now, if you want to focus more on digital and cut out that demographic, then go for it, but you just kind of have to take in what's most important for your business.
Got it. Thank you, Chelsea.
Also, Chelsea, you had a comment I just noticed on my phone when the question was about asking how you ask people. You had a quick comment there that was great. Can you add that?
I do.
It's
we like to just say it's important to hear your feedback. Can you please help us by telling us what you love about us? And then that way it kind of opens it up for the patients to give you what they like instead of saying, like, oh, we'd love to hear your feedback. Tell us what we can fix. It kind of gives them more of a positive aspect of, oh yeah, let me put on there what's so great. What would I tell my best friend about this business, and how would I recommend them to my best friend? And then we'll ask them to say that in their review.
Got it. A couple more questions, Jack and Seth. This one's pretty straightforward. It says, my website company charges me for SEO. Will it be necessary to continue that relationship, or can I cancel and use my social practice?
So, so basically, you're talking about two separate forms of marketing. If you remember back to the search engine results page, SEO on your website is affecting organic search. So just as like Chelsea mentioned with the Yellow Pages, with any form of marketing, if you can get a measurable about the return it's providing for you, then the decision isn't should I do one or the other. The decision is should I keep paying for my SEO because it's providing me results. What the reviews are going to do is it's going to affect that local business listing or the Google My Business section. So it's really a separate section of the internet that you would focus your marketing towards.
Got it. Next, what's the best way to keep track of the patients you have already asked for a review? And what if the patient was asked but did not give a review? When is it too much as far as asking for the feedback?
It's very, very important for you guys to keep in communication within your office. So keep notes inside of the patient chart. Ask this patient for a review today so that the next time that the patient comes in, you can look at that note and say, okay, we asked them last time. We don't need to ask them again. And then keep track of your reviews. Currently, on a daily basis, I go through and I post all the new reviews based off of the emails that get sent to me nightly from my social practice. So It's very important for you to keep the communication centrally within the patient notes and be checking them consistently, either whether it's daily or on a weekly basis, that you're not duplicating that question.
Got it. Thank you. Chelsea, thanks for your input today. Jack and Seth, thanks for sharing. We will continue the dialogue, including any questions that you might have, and you can post those on the Crown Council email network. Jack and Seth are very active there, and we'll monitor those for any questions that you have as you discuss this as a team. So feel free to use that as a forum so that everybody can see the answers. Thanks for joining us for our exclusive Crown Council webinar today. More webinars coming in the future. Again, thanks for a great year in Smiles for Life, and looking forward to seeing everyone at the Crown Council annual event coming up in January. Stay tuned for more webinar postings here shortly. Hope this has been helpful today. Again, Jack, Seth, thank you for being with us today, and thanks to everyone for being with us for our exclusive Crown Council webinar today. Have a great day. This is Steve Anderson.